Georgia was represented today on stage at President Biden and Kamala Harris's inauguration. Again, South Fulton Fire Captain Andrea Hall said that it was an honor to represent the Peach State and represent the Biden-Harris administration. Paolo Suro walks us through some of the appointees with local ties.
To help us break down some of those Georgia ties, we reached out to University of Georgia's Professor Joseph Watson Jr. He was an appointee himself in George W. Bush's administration.
There are around 1,400 Schedule C political appointees that serve in the federal government that are political appointees and presidential appointees.
First up is Atlanta native Rikia Dorsey-Craig, the Howard University graduate appointed regional communications director to help coordinate media interviews with members of the White House. Her resume includes communications director in the office of Congresswoman Maxine Waters. Next is Adam Schultz, the eyes behind the lens. The Atlanta native and Georgia State University graduate is chief official White House photographer.
Journalists serve a really important role in terms of documenting visually what happens in the White House. We remember images more than we remember words in large measure.
He's also the former photographer during Hillary Clinton's 2016 campaign. Then there's Stephanie Feldman, who's originally from Georgia. Her title makes her responsible for coordinating domestic policy across different executive branch agencies that impact the U.S. domestically.
Everything from the Department of Energy to Housing and Urban Development to Health and Human Services.
Morehouse College grad and Georgia native Jahi Weiss is in charge of developing climate policy the president wants and ensuring it's executed, while Samira Fazili, who lives in Georgia, will help coordinate the administration's economic policies.
It's always a good thing to have individuals from your state represented within the executive branch.
At 6, we'll talk about 4 more appointees and discuss the impact of having Georgians in the administration.